There are just over 14,000 children in foster care in the state of Missouri as of this year, and only 55 in foster care were adopted last year. Joining us today on Newsmakers is Tom Fuhrer, Joplin Branch Director of FosterAdopt Connect, to talk about his organization and the important work they are doing to improve the lives of abused and neglected children. Thanks for joining us today, Tom.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
You bet. So tell us what FosterAdopt Connect is.
FosterAdopt Connect is a nonprofit organization that serves foster and adoptive families, really and truly. And so we have several programs aimed at doing that in different capacities.
I mean, it sounds like a big thing, but you guys do specialized services, right?
Absolutely.
What are those services?
Sure. So we have 9 locations across Missouri and Kansas. Each of those is what we call a Family Resource Center, or an FRC. And so those all operate a clothing closet that's free for foster and adoptive families to come in and shop monthly. So they can come in and get clothing, hygiene products. We have a small food pantry, household goods, laundry detergent, paper goods, things like that. Foster adoptive families can come in. So if you're a current foster family, if you're an adoptive family, if you are a teenager who may be aged out of foster care, we support you as well. And then we also have programs at each of those. And so here in Joplin, we offer prevention services aimed at keeping families together. We offer kinship navigation services, same thing. So if you end up with a niece, nephew, grandparent, or grandchild rather, we can support you through advocacy and just kind of navigating the process, getting maybe enrolled in school or getting doctor's permissions, things like that. We can support you there.
And Joplin's pretty new, right? The branch?
Yeah, we did. We just opened. We had a big ribbon cutting on March 17th. And so we're new to Joplin, but we, as an organization, have served this area. Actually, I was a foster parent for several years. My wife and I fostered in Jasper County, and we used the organization in 2014 out of Springfield for some advocacy work. And so we've, as an organization, have served the area. But yes, we have a physical location here in Joplin, out on Maiden and 32nd in that strip mall. We have the inside corner. It's a beautiful clothing closet. If you haven't seen it, please come out and visit. It's great. Yeah.
And so what areas, or I guess cities, counties, do you serve for Joplin?
And so we serve Jasper County, and then we go south to Newton and McDonald, and then we also go north to Barton, Vernon, Cedar, and Dade.
Oh, wow. So that's a big area.
We do have a big area, yes.
Has that taken some of the workload off of, say, Springfield?
A little bit, yeah. And so those counties were previously being served by Springfield. And then, of course, as we grow, we're hoping to push our boundaries a little bit. And so we can, Springfield actually right now still goes up in between our northern counties and then what Kansas City's southern county is. So they have like 4 counties in between. And so as our programs grow and our staff grows, we'll be able to serve that. And so over time, we'll probably grow a little bit.
And so you were talking about the services you provide. I was looking at your website, and one of them was foster prevention.
Yes.
What is that?
Oh, man.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, and actually Ben, who is supposed to, hopefully going to join us today, is the manager for that position. So prevention focuses on 2 different things. The first one is that kinship navigator. And so that's prevention because those are informal placements. So they're not actually those 14,000 foster placements you talked about. Jasper County has about 500. And so informal placements are something crazy happens and you end up with a niece or a nephew or a grandchild, or when a teacher takes a student because there's a relationship. Those are all what we call kinship placements or informal placements. And so there's just a whole different set of realities than a foster family, right? And so you don't have that placement letter from the state that says you can make the decisions for that child. And so you need different resources, you have different questions. And so that kinship program exists for those people. And then specifically prevention is a really amazing program. We come in prior to Children's Division getting involved, hopefully. And so we take third-party referrals from teachers or counselors or police officers. And so we come in, every program we offer starts with an assessment. So that prevention program starts with what we call an adult adolescent parenting index. And so it judges how well the adult in that situation is able to parent the child and what supports might be needed. Sure. And so we start with that assessment. Once we do that, we also typically do like a financial needs assessment. We identify a variety of needs in that home and what we can do to help meet those. And so we offer a nurturing parenting curriculum. It's 8 to 12 months typically, but it's a series of classes, and we come in, we teach, we coach that parent, we do some hand over hand stuff, we actually model some things for those parents. And then, so after that wraps up, we do some aftercare as well. So we do 3-6 month aftercare. We come alongside, and again, we just gauge the success. Whatever additional resources might be required, we can refer out to other community partners. And then the beautiful thing about our programs is that they can all funnel into each other. And so once we identify the needs in that home, they might be able to go to our clothing closet and shop, sure, right? Or they might also be eligible for our kinship as well as that nurturing parenting, right? And so our programs really beautifully funnel together.
So do you find that parents in that situation, are they resistant to the assistance, or is somebody intruding on their, calling them a bad parent by showing up at their door? How does that work, the dynamic?
We work very hard to offer all of our services with dignity. Sure. And so we're very cognizant of the fact that we're visitors in those people's homes. Fortunately, we find that people are receptive to our programs. We are here to help. We do a good job of training our staff so that when they come in, they're respectful and they're helpful, making sure that they stay within their boundaries. But also, we're offering great knowledge and education and tools and skills and
help where they may not have known that they needed it if they're not necessarily.
As adults, we recognize when we fall short. And so if someone is coming alongside and offering help in a positive, empowering way, you're more apt to take that. And so that's the approach we always try to take.
And you also offer legal assistance to...
Not out of Joplin just yet. I say that though, our advocates, our kinship navigators, we have a team of on-staff lawyers at our headquarters in Independence. And so they have access to those, and then on a case-by-case basis, we may definitely. One of the things I'm excited about over the summer is we're going to launch a CCYP, which stands for Community Connections Youth Project, and so that's a education program aimed at kids who have aged out of foster care, 16 to 26, and I know that they have access to our attorney for some special things. And so if they need legal help, maybe getting emancipated, or maybe they get into some legal trouble, we can come alongside and kind of on a case-by-case basis and meet some of those needs, which is really great.
Yeah, because I hadn't thought about that, but foster kids aren't necessarily given all of the tools that, like I would tell my son, if you get hit by a car and maybe you're the one at fault or you have a car crash, this is what you do. But they don't have that. Yeah,
education is so important, and kids that don't grow up with a traditional support system end up missing out on a lot of those educational pieces, those teaching moments that we tend to maybe take for granted. They just didn't have access to. They didn't get to experience those, and so that's a great point. And that program, that Community Connections, is really what that strives for. And so we're going to do some great partnerships with some local financial institutions, and have those conversations about how do you build credit, how do you purchase a car, how do you fill out an application for a lease, right? Those kinds of things.
Do your taxes.
For sure, absolutely. And so I'm very excited over the summer to start launching that program.
So what age are kids considered out of foster care? Or at what point are they released, if you will? I don't know what the right terminology is.
Missouri's a unique state, and so you start kind of becoming an adult in Missouri at 17, and so you start getting some of those options at 17 to maybe step out, and that does happen. 18, of course, is kind of the traditional age out. Kids in foster care can sometimes elect to stay in until 21. They have some transitional living programs. Those do often have some pretty big requirements as far as living in a specific place, being at, maybe following a specific curfew or so many job applications a week, things like that. And so I think we find that at 16, 17, those kids who have been in care for a while are ready to get out and really hesitant to sign up for those kinds of things with those case managers. So
could foster kids at that age contact your company?
Absolutely.
And then you guys could hook them up with the services that they need?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you're out there and you're 16, 18, 20 and need help, absolutely reach out to us in Joplin, or you can visit our website, of course, and do a referral that way. But yeah, we're here to help. And one of the things I love the most about our organization, I'm pretty new, I've only been here about 6 months. We really are what we call a gap filler. And so anytime we identify a need, we're going to work to meet that. If it's overcoming obstacles or removing barriers or providing assistance, education, we're going to work to meet that, refer out to third parties, whatever it takes.
Do you help kids get, say, enrolled in college, or help them, has that ever been an issue where they need help learning how do you fill out a FAFSA? How do you do that
on that side of things, yes. Those soft skill things we absolutely will help with. If you're a foster youth in the state of Missouri, you get access to some free college funds, and so we can help kind of educate and navigate that process. So for sure.
That's great. And you have behavioral intervention. What is that? What does that do for children?
Okay, so the behavior intervention program, in the same way that we have that nurturing parenting program on prevention side, the behavior intervention is geared more towards like foster or adoptive placements. And so we come in, we do some of the same, obviously, assessments, right? We do some of those same assessments, we do some of that same parental education. We don't do as much of the nurturing parenting side, but we do offer a lot more of like neurostem activities for kids. And so we're still kind of navigating. That's a pretty new program statewide. And so I'm excited to be launching that in Joplin. We're launching in tandem with Springfield, and so we'll have all of Southwest Missouri pretty much covered with that. So I'm very excited. We're hiring for that program, and so if you're out there listening, there's a program director position that will cover Springfield and Joplin for BI. So we're on Indeed or FosterAdopt.org.
And what background does a behavioral interventionist or
person
that does that job?
So that's a really interesting program. There's a very clinical side to that, and so that's ABA or Applied Behavior Analysis.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of
we
behavioral
have that here
science.
On campus, yeah.
There's a lot of behavioral science that goes into that, as well as. So that program brings staff into the home, and so there's staff coordinating, there's the parental, the family unit processing, I guess, so that assessment and then building that case plan, and then we have a QA side that makes sure that the documentation is done correctly, and that the plan is being implemented correctly by the staff, and so it's a pretty large program with a lot of moving parts.
Yeah. I was going to say a lot of moving parts. So these kids, is this trying to, like, say I have a difficult child and he's getting unruly and it's about to where I'm going to have to
hopefully way before.
Hopefully
before you get to that point where you're ready to make a move. But definitely once you start pulling your hair out, we're ready to come in and offer those services.
And that could be in place of I don't want to call the police because my kid's incorrigible, but I do need help.
I do need help. Things are maybe out of control or getting, you see the warning signs for sure. And so you reach out, we come in, we start doing those assessments. And again, that's for foster and adoptive families.
Okay,
and
not just any Joe Blow off the street.
Yeah, so, really we would probably funnel those people into the preventative side. I say that, if there's a clinical reason there, we're probably going to come in and meet those BI needs.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's such a valuable resource because a lot of parents don't know what to do.
Right.
And if they know somebody who knows somebody, it's easier, but
Sure.
that's the service you guys provide.
Yeah, we're here to answer questions and be that sounding board for, hey, I've got an issue and I don't know necessarily what bucket I'm going to fall in, but here it is.
Right.
And then we're going to help navigate you to whatever services are going to best meet your needs.
So if I wanted to become a foster parent, do I have to go through the state? Or can I come to you and
Sure.
say, "Hey, I'm thinking about fostering"?
Yeah. So in Joplin, we don't offer any licensing workers. We don't do licensing in Joplin. So in Joplin, your options are you can go through Children's Division in Jasper County. There is an organization, Missouri Baptist Children's Home and Presbyterian Children's Home. They both offer licensure in Jasper County. I believe in Newton County as well. So we don't actually do any licensure. We were really just a support and advocacy organization.
But you can point somebody in the right direction.
We will point you. Yeah, we'll point you to those two organizations for sure.
So if I'm a foster parent, do I get all of the background information on the child? What happened to them? Why they are maybe they have PTSD or they're acting out?
It really depends. And so, you think about kids in foster care. That starts somewhere. And so it starts with a removal from home.
Right.
And so if you're the first placement, like my wife and I fostered for a few years. Our first placement came to us at 2 a.m. on Valentine's Day.
Wow.
And we got a call at like 12:30 a.m. We were both in bed. Hey, we have a placement. She's 8. Would you be willing to take her? Sure. It's 2 a.m. It's midnight. Yeah.
Right.
She's going to go to sleep. Sure. So we took our first placement, and we actually ended up getting more information out of her than we did from our caseworker that first couple of hours, right? And so that morning we found out she had a brother, so we took her to school. She met brother. We found out there's a whole sibling group from the school office, right? And so to answer your question, yes, you do end up getting that information. You don't get it in the initial phone call usually.
Sure.
I say that though, we took a 15-year-old placement, and she had been at several homes, and so we got a big old report from the caseworker before we took her, and so it really just depends on the case by case.
Sure. So how do you decide if and I was always one who I really wanted to have a foster child, but I was always afraid that child might hurt my child.
Yeah,
and then the guilt
scary.
that I would have to live with, because you don't know what necessarily the reason that they're pulled initially.
Yeah, and so we started fostering. My daughter was 1 when we took our first placement, and so we took younger children, and then as we fostered, we started taking teenagers, and so that was a whole different arena, right?
Teenagers in and of itself are a whole different arena.
And you definitely wonder, at that point our kids were 3, and so you're like, man, how are they going to treat those kids? How are they going to react? How is our 3-year-old going to react when this 14-year-old moves after 3 months, right? And we started fostering really to teach our children how to be compassionate and how to give selflessly and truly love others unconditionally. And so, in that process, we really just decided we're going to have to do those things. We're going to have to love this kid, even if they come in and hate us, even if they come in and punch a hole in the wall and hurt one of us, right? Obviously, you hope and pray that doesn't happen, and you do your best to safeguard against those things happening. Having good communication in place, good emergency crisis plans in place. Like those are all things you can do as a family unit, working with your caseworker, working with your foster family advocate through FosterAdopt Connect. But yeah, you really just got to make the choice to be that loving heart and be willing to have it ripped
and that's
out.
why you do what you do, right? You have a service heart. And
Yeah, that we adopted out of foster care. And have had some great experiences, have had some terrible experiences, and yeah, I'm very happy to be in this role to to be a resource for other foster families, other kinship families, adoptive families, struggling families, wherever you're at.
Sure. Because you don't get paid a lot. Like,
Oh, to be a foster parent?
To be a foster parent, to do what you do, social work, if you will, nonprofit.
Sure. Yeah, no, we are a nonprofit. We work off donations, we get grants. We do get a little bit of state funding.
Because you have state contracts.
Yeah, we get some state contracts. We get some victim of crime advocate money and some different things. So we are very budget conscious for sure. And yeah, Children's Division through the state, those are state contractors. They don't get paid a lot. Those salaries stay pretty low, even up into the supervisor and executive leadership. Yeah, I mean, you definitely are here to serve others and love others.
Not get rich,
Not trying to get rich, no, just trying to help others, day by day.
So how difficult is it to become a foster parent? There's forms and rules training.
And so you go through, I don't know if it's still this, but when I went through, it was a STARS class, and I don't remember what the acronym stood for. But yeah, it was, I don't know, we started in September, October, and went through February or March. So 5-6 months, 2 weekends a month, I think, something like that. And then there's the longest process, though, is the home study. So they come out, the state contracts with psychiatrists, I guess.
Sure.
They come out and they go through your house. They talk about family history. How did you parent? How were you parented? How do you plan on parenting your kids? They do the financial element.
Yeah, I did hear that there's a rule that you're not allowed to spank.
Foster children. Corporal punishment. No corporal punishment. There's heavy stipulations on how many kids are to a bedroom. You can only have males with males, obviously. Bathrooms, medications have to be locked up. Liquor has to be locked up. Firearms have to be locked up. Fire extinguishers. There has to be a good fire escape plan in place.
Oh yeah.
All kinds of stuff. It's very in depth. The state has custody of these children, and so they're placing with individuals. They have to make sure that that child is going to be safe, and that all these other things are going to be in place the same as they would if it was their facility, right? Because essentially it is their license, or the state's contracting with that foster parent to take placement of that child.
Yeah. So and the state takes care of like daycare if they're younger, right? And then all
they cover the cost. It typically is up on it typically falls on the foster parent to provide to find placement rather. They have to contact the daycare provider, make sure there's an opening, get on that waiting list. But we do, the state rather does provide funding for that. We actually we just got some funding secured to provide payment for summer daycare.
That's awesome.
Next week we're going to launch, probably through our Facebook page, a link to apply, but you can apply for, May, June, and July, daycare funding for foster and adoptive families. And there's pretty low stipulations on that, so be looking for that link to come out. Please go like our Facebook page. Shameless plug there. Please
like and follow.
We're trying to grow that. I think we're at like 350 likes, which is good because we started from 0 in February, so we're growing quickly. But yeah, that link should go out for daycare assistance. Very excited to be offering that. And we've got more than $15,000 for Joplin to support families here locally, and so it's going to be good.
So how does a person adopting kids out of foster care? Is that a difficult process or is it lengthy?
It can be lengthy, and so we adopted a teenager out of foster care. So she came to us at 15. We started the adoption process when she was 17 and finalized about a month before she turned 18. And it was lengthy. There's a requirement as far as how long they're in your home. So they have to be in your home for more than 15 months, I believe.
Oh, I gotcha.
Before adoption can be approved. And then there's another formula. It's like 12 out of 15 if less than something. I don't know. I don't remember exactly. And I'm sure they change over time. But yeah, it can be difficult. If you're working with like a large sibling group, that can be difficult. Especially if you're trying to adopt maybe 2 of the 5 and the other 3 are in another
that's
place.
Heartbreaking.
Absolutely. Again, it's so much case by case.
Well, and you have on your Facebook or on your website pictures of children that are awaiting adoption.
Okay.
Or the adoption process. Is that work? Do people see them and say, "Oh, I want them"?
So I think you're probably referring to we have a recruitment program,
right?
And that has kind of 2 branches. And so the extreme family finding, we have kids who are in care for an extended period of time and really want that permanency of having a family. We have a team that comes in and kind of writes a bio and puts them up on our website. Yeah, and so that absolutely works. We don't have that in Joplin just yet, and unfortunately I can't speak to the program numbers because I'm just not that knowledgeable. But I know that's on the docket to come to our area in the next 12 to 18 months. And that, man, great work. Actually, I know I worked with an individual who was working through that EFF, that Extreme Family Finding program out of Springfield. And so I got to meet with the team, and they came in and they did an interview, wrote a beautiful bio, did a little photo shoot, which was a lot of fun. A lot of kids in foster care have probably never had that experience. And so he got to go pick out a wardrobe, and they did a nice photo shoot, did a beautiful bio on the website. And so it was a really cool experience to be a part of and see kind of how they build that out. And then, they put that out on the website. The flip part of that program is we do a big genealogy. And so for the EFF, the Extreme Family Finding, as well as our 30 Days to Family program, we do a genealogy of 150 plus points. And so we start working with bio mom, bio dad. We get a hold of grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, cousins, and we reach out and we find out, are you interested in taking placement? Are you interested in building a relationship? Are there any barriers to placement? If you are interested, is that there's just not enough room, you need an extra bed, or is there maybe some previous charges that we need to talk about?
Financial components.
Yeah, exactly. And so we do the legwork. And then we kind of create a recommendation, and then we present that to the judge either at in the 30 Days to Family program at the 30 to 60 day hearing when the judge is getting ready to make a decision on how to place that child, or in the Extreme Family Finding. We take that and hope that the judge will move placement to that interested family.
Wow, it's such a great thing you guys do, and unfortunately we're out of time. But
that went quick.
I mean, we could talk about this for hours.
Yeah,
I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us today, Tom. We appreciate it. If you want to become a foster parent or adopt a child out of foster care, you can contact FosterAdopt Connect by going to their website, FosterAdopt.org, or if you're a family in need. This is Newsmakers on KGCS TV from the Ruth Colpin Studios here at Missouri Southern State University, and I'm Bobby Potroff. We'll see you again soon.